Welcome or welcome back to the 8th concession. My name is Natalie. Well, those of you who've been following my journey know that I've finally got the garden planted, and this is going to be my first garden tour. It is the third week of June, so we've had a slow start here in Southern Ontario, Zone 5B, but things are coming along. I'm very excited about some things. Other things are struggling. That's the way the garden grows. So let's have a look around at how things are doing. I'm going to start over here in bed number 1. You can see my parsley has gone to seed, but that's okay. I knew that would happen. This is the parsley that overwintered, and that's what parsley does in its second year. It develops all these flowers, which will become parsley seed. Now I can still harvest some of the leaves down here. They'll still be nice and tasty, but I'm going to wait and harvest lots of parsley seeds. Down the side here, oh, you'll have to excuse my tarps, the weeds, my goodness, with this damp, wet weather, the weeds are going crazy, so I'm actually just using the tarp to try and kill off the weeds there in the aisleway. Looks a bit messy, but hopefully it'll do the trick and help me out. So down the side here, you can see how the garlic is doing. It's looking nice and fat. I think it'll be ready to harvest in a few weeks, but I'm really excited. This is the organic garlic that I just bought in the store. Took the clove apart, or I should say took the bulb apart into the cloves and just planted the cloves. I'm very excited. Right here, I have some dill that seeded itself, which is fine by me because I planted the rest of my dill right behind it. It seems to be doing okay. I've actually put some dill seeds in the middle to make it a thicker patch. And then we have all the peppers. And those of you who remember, I put an Oya in the ground. That is a clay watering vessel. And I have to say that the peppers around it are doing really well because they have access to water. I'd even say they're a little bigger. But the rest of the peppers are doing fine too. I noticed when I put them in, they had very long stalks, but I can see there's more growth coming on them, which is exciting. Right down in the tops, I think there might even be some blossoms starting. So that's very exciting. All of them are doing well. Here in bed number 1 on the other side now, you can see I have some scarlet runner beans which are up and which will start climbing up my trellis here. A few smaller garlic. And this is my loofah. So now only 2 of my loofah plants made it. As some of you know, they were in their soil blocks way too long. I couldn't get them in. So it has shocked a little. It's coming now, but it's had a slow start. And because I only had 2, I planted one on this side and one on the other. I actually planted some loofah seeds, which I've kept under a cloche here. And I can see that it's coming up. Whether or not it's going to have enough time to set the loofahs, I don't know. This is such a strange gardening year anyway. And beside that is a birdhouse gourd. It's already sending out little tendrils. It's going to take off in no time. At the back of bed number 1, oh, here we go. Every day I'm pulling these mushrooms out. I don't know what they are. I'm certainly not going to eat them, but I wish they'd stay out of my garden. This is the addition that I put on this bed. And this is where I've planted my poor sad zucchinis. They're coming back. Again, along with the gourds, they were in the pot's too long. There's some pest damage, but I can see that right in the middle there is new growth. I'm hoping they make a full recovery because we love fresh zucchini, so I'm quite sad about my zucchini. They need the heat. We haven't had the heat, so they're looking sad, but they are now finally growing. Behind bed number 1 is what I guess I'm going to call bed number 5. This is the brand new one that I built this year, and this is my new tomato bed for this year. There is nothing but tomato in here. And you can see that already it has sunk down quite a bit, but that's to be expected with the type of, the way I fill the garden beds, which is called Hugelkultur, which I'm going to do a separate video on so you can see how I fill these beds. And even though it sinks down quite a bit in the first couple of years, it is so healthy. The plants always do great. Now, those of you who watch me plant my tomatoes know that they were sad little tomato plants. But look at them now. It's only been about a week and a half, I think, not even 2 weeks. And just look at them. They are exploding with growth. They are green and healthy. So I'm very excited. Here in the front, this is my tidy treat. It is a variety of cherry tomato that I like very much. And these are the new cherry tomatoes that I've tried this year. They're called Matt's cherry tomatoes. They're an heirloom variety. That's the problem with Tidy Treat. It's a hybrid. That's why I want to try these. Matt's cherry tomatoes, an heirloom variety where I can collect the seeds. So I'm going to try them. The one behind them is a Mountain Magic that I grew. I'm not sure it's going to be true to type, but I want to give it a whirl. Behind it, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. Those are the Cup of Moldova plum tomatoes or sauce tomatoes. They were so prolific last year. I can't wait for them to come again. I saved the seeds myself from a plant I planted over by the chickens, so there was no cross-pollination. And so I want to make sure that that works, but I'm very excited to have them to make some nice tomato sauce. And all the rest back here, way too many of them, are the Peron sprayless heirloom variety. But what I like about them is they look a lot like a hybrid. They have a very uniform sized fruit, nice and round, nice and red, and they were very tasty. So I have way too many. We're going to be swimming in tomatoes, but I'm just so relieved at how they've taken off, at how healthy they look. So that's great. And I can see we have some interlopers here, some sort of volunteer. I don't know what that is. Oh well, I might just move them to the ground back here and just have fun seeing what will grow. Bed number 2. So this has my butter crunch lettuce at the front, and it is just doing fantastic. And those of you who are following me know that I tried the green salad bowl lettuce, the free pack of seeds that I got from the Heirloom Seed Company. So I'm interested to try this green salad bowl lettuce to see if I like it better than the butter crunch. And I have also planted some more butter crunch there. In the very front, these are a few straggly garlic. They're doing all right. And here you can see I have some volunteer tomatoes. I don't have the heart to pull them. Last year, the Tidy Treat tomatoes were planted here. I suspect they're Tidy Treat. I'm just going to let them go, and because I have a hard time killing any plants. Once again, the scarlet runner beans, which will start climbing up. I'm going to have to maybe pull this head of lettuce there next so they have enough room. But they are looking healthy and lovely. This was the other loofah that I grew indoors. Looking quite sad, although there's new growth in there. But here's the thing, beside it, again, I grew a loofah seed, which sprouted much earlier than the one on the other side. And look, it's almost catching up to the one I started indoors. I had kept it under the cloche, the seeds, to keep them warm because, again, it's been cool here. And, you know, when I look at it like this, maybe next year I'm just going to direct sow the loofahs with the cloches over top for some heat and protection and be done with it, because these ones just are not that happy. Oh, hello, Snaky. What are you doing in my garden? Please eat any voles that you see. This is also a birdhouse gourd, like the one on the other side. It will start climbing shortly. It handles transplanting much better than the loofahs. Hey, little Snaky, you need to move on, sweetheart. So these are the onions. This group here are the ones I grew from seed, Stuttgarter Riesen, the Dutch onions. And these ones are the sets, the leftover sets that my son had. I think there's about 25. You can see they're a little bit bigger because they have that head start of being a set. But the seeds are catching up and doing great. I am thrilled to have all these onions because they store so well. So this should be enough onions to get me through most of the winter. Behind it here, you can see I have some beets. The seeds got in much later than I wanted, but they're doing great. Now, I'm going to have lots of beets, which is great. I like to pickle beets. Down the center here, I planted celery root. And I don't see, this is a weed. I do not see even one so far. Maybe they just take a longer germination, but goodness, I hope they come up. Back here we have the potatoes in the fiber pots. I originally had 2 pots behind each of the 4 beds, but when I lengthened this one, I just thought it'll be too narrow between the beds, so I moved them over here. They are doing so well in these pots. Have a look. Honestly, all I've done is water them a bit, but perfectly happy with them. Let's check out bed number 3. You can see I have a tarp between the rows. That tarp held some compost until I got the last bed done, but I thought I would use it to help me keep down the weeds here. Eventually I want gravel in between. Now I do have some gravel here, but after the first year it's just growing too many weeds. What I want is what they have in England. It's called self-binding gravel, and when you put it down it compacts almost like a hard surface, like almost like concrete, and that's what I would prefer. But it's hard to find over here, so I can't really find an equivalent yet, but I just really hate having to deal with these weeds. So I'm going to kill off a few weeds with the spare tarp I have. It doesn't look the prettiest, but it'll save me a lot of time. The front of bed number 3, I have to pull back so you can see this. Those of you who remember me planting this, these are 3 Stuttgarter Riesen, or 3 Dutch onions I had left over in my cold cellar that actually sprouted. And I thought, great, if you want to sprout, I'm going to collect seeds from you. So you can see up top here, they are just bursting into flower, and eventually, probably closer to the end of the season, I'll be able to harvest the little black onion seeds, and I'll show you them when they're ripe. But aren't these funny looking things? They almost have like a netting over them. And then they burst open. So I'm thrilled that I'll be able to collect my own onion seeds and I won't have to buy them either. Down the side of bed number 3 are my leeks. These are the ones I grew from seed, and they were also really spindly when I put them in. Like, I wasn't even sure they were going to grow, but look at them now. They are doing super, and I will be able to harvest, chop, and freeze leeks for all kinds of soups this winter. I'm very excited about that. Under the netting is my cabbage. Isn't it doing fantastic? The cool weather crops are definitely loving this summer. The hot, not so much. But this is just green head cabbage, and It's just super. The netting has worked out perfectly. I put it on as soon as I put the plants in this year, and there has not been one white cabbage moth getting in and laying eggs. So the cabbage is really thriving under the netting. As usual, I think I've put too many in. I think it would have worked better if there was just one plant up the middle, but you know, I grew them from seed. I didn't have the heart to kill them, so I've kind of offset them, but it's going to get pretty crowded in there pretty soon. There are the other 4 potato plants in the fiber pots, doing just as well as the others. Let's go around the other side. Here, I think these are zinnias. I like to plant flowers in the corner, both for some pest control with marigolds, but also for pollinators and just some beautiful color. So I think those are zinnias. On the front of every one of my trellises are the Scarlet Runner pole beans. They're doing great. Now here are my cucumbers. Just like the gourds and the squash, they are not entirely happy this year. You can see right here I've lost one. Now there is one here. The ones that have survived have new growth. They are growing, but they're behind. And I've noticed I already have squash bugs. The 2 kinds, the yellow and black striped ones and the big brown ones. This is not going to be the year of the cucumber, that I can tell you. I'm hoping to get some so I can make sweet pickles for Craig and some dill pickles and some cucumbers for salad, but oh, I don't know. And you know, 3/4 of the way through June and they're pretty tiny. They haven't even started climbing, so yeah, I'm hoping to get some, but it's not going to be a great cucumber year. Right here are some of the sweet or sugar snap peas, the ones I pick as pods for stir fries. They're doing great. I've just plunked them in the ground in the spring. I thought, well, they can climb up the back of the trellis, and they seem quite happy. Here we have some of the celery I planted early in the spring, and again, they were so tiny. I wasn't sure they were going to make it, but they're doing great now. So I'll be able to harvest and freeze a lot of celery again for soups. Beside them, those of you who are watching me plant, I put in parsnips, but I don't see them coming up yet. I'm hoping it's just they're slow germinators. I'll have to keep my eye on them, but so far, no parsnips. Bed number 4. I just finished the extension on this like a couple of days ago, so it is now the correct length. I do think I'm going to have to rework it next spring. The ground back there is very, very soft. I can see it looks a little dipped right there, but that's okay. It's going to work for this year. I'll fix it again in the spring. In the meantime, though, at least I could get this garden bed planted. Now, just like the other side, I have pole beans at the front, and then some cucumbers. These ones look even worse than the other side, if that's possible. I'm not even sure this one's going to make it. I don't know. So I've got maybe 1, 2, 3. Wow, that's pretty sad. I have never had it this bad. I think if I go to some garden centers and they have some, you know, it's pretty late to be planting, but if they have some cucumber plants still as starts, I might pick some up because that's pretty sad. These are the leeks that I bought as starts in the store. I found some at a really good price and I wanted more than what I had started by seed. So they are doing fine. This here is the sage that I grew from seed. And so it's quite happy there. So when I finally got rid of all the lettuce here, those who have been watching know that some lettuce self-seeded in here and I was using it to eat and then I was using it for the chickens. When I finally got it all out, I had to decide what to put in this little square. I put in, I have to see, those are actually watermelon. Now this is probably not the year for watermelon, but I had watermelon seeds and I thought, I don't mind if the vines kind of go over the edge. Some have sprouted, which I find hilarious. And then I put in also some carrot seeds. Let me see if the carrots have come up. I think I put the carrots in over here. I don't see any. So here's hoping that's just a matter of time. Here are the beans I planted. These first 2 rows are red kidney beans, which I want to can for chilies and soups. And the other 2 rows are called a Polish white bean, and I'm growing them to dry for homemade baked beans. So they all seem to be doing well. Some more celery over there that you watched me plant, which has come along nicely. And then the extension, you can see how far down it has sunken. I didn't have as much compost for this bed as the other one, but it'll do fine for this year. I'll fill it up next year. And what I planted were 2 blue pumpkin plants. Now these were grown by my daughter-in-law, and she gave them to me. So these are blue pumpkins. And then I put in some more pumpkin seeds back here. Again, I don't mind if they sort of climb out and over. Oh my goodness, look at all the snakes. Just, those are big, big garter snakes. They're harmless. That's really all we have around here. I know some of you live in areas with venomous snakes, but we don't have any. These are garter snakes. They're considered beneficial to the gardens. Oh my goodness. Still a little bit slithery though, aren't they? They are hopefully keeping down the vole population and the mole population in my garden. So we're at the back of garden 4, blue pumpkins, regular pumpkins, because the pumpkins that I started from seed that again were too long in their seed pots, I planted here and they're not doing great. I'm not sure they're going to make it. There's one there. Isn't that sad looking? There's one there that's doing a little better, but seriously, not very good. There may be no jack-o'-lantern carving contest in our family this year. I have replanted the ones that died with some seeds, and that's why I also put some seeds back here. Hopefully we'll have enough. Oh, Mr. Snaky's come back. Hello. Please eat some voles. Thank you very much. So also back here is where I planted the corn. Now the corn has been not great. The first batch of corn that I planted, every last seed was eaten by birds, namely the red-winged blackbirds. And I know that because I could see the little holes exactly where all the seeds had been. So I replanted and I covered it with one of the tarps that's now in the aisles keeping the weeds down to allow them to germinate, because then they're pretty safe. And they have sprouted, but we'll see. We'll see if I have enough that they'll pollinate and give us some corn. It is hard to grow anything in the ground back here. It is very weedy. The reeds, I'm talking about you guys, are desperate to take over again. So it's a constant battle. Next year, I'm hoping to put the last 3 matching raised beds. That's why there's still tarps back there to keep the ground, the weeds from growing, so that I'll have a total of 8. So that's what's going on back there. But honestly, it just wants to go wild. So because I didn't have the other beds in, I decided to put the corn back here. We'll see. We'll see if we get any corn this year. Here at the front of bed number 1, I have 2 blueberry plants, and they're doing really well. They're a variety called Northland, and this is a new one from this year, so it's not as big. But this was the one I planted last year, and you can see the berries on it. Very excited to have homemade blueberry jam or pies, whatever. I don't know if I'll have enough for a lot, but we can at least snack on them. Last but not least, here in front of bed number 4 on the other side, I have 4 strawberry plants, and I have them all fenced off with chicken wire so the birds don't get at them. I'm not really expecting much of a crop this year, but I do see some flowers. We'll get a few berries just to enjoy as a snack. So that's it for the vegetable garden so far this year. Some things are doing so well and other things are struggling. Last year it was kind of reversed. We had such a hot summer. The heat-loving plants, the cucumbers and the squash, they went crazy. That's the way it goes. I'm still hoping that they're going to, we still have, you know, a couple of months, 8 weeks or so. I'm hoping they kind of catch up, that the weather settles down a little bit, we get a little bit of warmth, and but other stuff is doing so well this year that I'm really excited to show you when I start harvesting the cabbage and making all kinds of yummy treats with that. So I hope your garden is doing well too. Let me know what's doing well and what isn't in your garden, because I know every year and in every zone it's different. Bye for now.